to try to see if we still have the same audio problem. Let's see. Hopefully I'll be able to hear myself in just a second. Oh, good. It sounds like I can hear myself. Excellent. Well, hello, and welcome back. Just had some technical difficulties with the sound for the last half hour, apparently. So, whoop, there we go. So now I'm back, ready for action. Let me go ahead and tap on my face on the screen. There we go. Oh no, it thinks that I hit the background. There we go, my face. Yes, my face. Okay, so with that now, let's go back and get to, oh no, I gotta put in some SSH keys. Sorry you missed the part where I was basically fumbling through everything, but now we're at the part where anyway, I'm AJ O'Neill, working live, and this is some mail template stuff we're gonna be looking at. So as always, I've got the comments open on Twitch and YouTube. And let's see, it looks like the stream, it's not streaming on YouTube right now. Let me check. Let me check that out. One technical difficulty after another. I think it actually is streaming to YouTube. It looks like it is. It says I'm live right now. Sorry for this little bit of... Yep, I hear myself, so there we go. Anyway, I had some sort of problem. I haven't rebooted my computer in a couple of months. I figured it's installing updates, services are starting and quitting, etc. I also had the Wi-Fi turned on, which normally I keep the Wi-Fi turned off, but it's been getting harder and harder to trick OS X or Mac OS into allow you to use AirDrop with Ethernet. So I had Wi-Fi turned on. Maybe that was part of the problem, but we were getting a bad stream. So there we go. Anyway, we'll get right back to it. Sorry for the delay. And I'm just going to refresh. I might not see the chat here for just a few seconds. I've refreshed the chat so it can try connecting. So for some reason, it says that it is not connecting to the YouTube chat. So I'm going to open up YouTube real quick so that I have the YouTube chat open alternatively right here. And all right, so now I've got the YouTube chat open as well right here. I'll try to keep an eye on that. And we'll see if maybe, if you are on YouTube, please just go ahead and leave a comment real quick. That would just help me test this to see what's going on here, if it shows up in the restream chat or not. Anyway, sorry for all that nonsense. Give me just a second. I'm going to hit mute while I type in my key. Done typing in my key. So for those of you that don't know, anytime you type your password on an audio stream, it can very easily be, well, if, not anytime, if you do something like audio streaming and you type in your password occasionally as well as type other things, there are pretty off-the-shelf techniques available to reverse what it is you're typing from the sound, because you'll have a particular cadence and all that. So whenever I type in passwords or keys or anything, I always mute the mic, because I've streamed enough that somebody could just run an analysis tool off of my mic and easily reproduce whatever it is I'm typing on the keyboard. Especially since they could also read the transcript of what I'm typing because they see it on the screen. So if I mean, this is kind of paranoid, but whatever. You get it. It's a real thing. It happens. It's part of corporate / industrial / government espionage. Not that I think anybody's targeting me that way, but who knows? Somebody might in the future. Especially because I work for different clients and maybe somebody figures out, oh, you worked for this client. They want to reverse something. Of course, none of that makes any sense anyway because it's all on my local machine. So they wouldn't actually be able to, they'd have to have physical access to my machine because I don't reuse my machine passwords and keys on remotes and stuff. And the remotes, I always use random passwords. But anyway, here we are. Do I want, I'm going to make this just a touch bigger again. There we go. Too big? Maybe we shall see. Let's see what we get here. And what if I go this much over? Can I get one more? Yay, perfect fit. Okay. So we're in the render function. Oh, that's not where we're at. We're in this render function here. Oh, let me go into the actual project directory. Okay, so we're in the render function. Actually in the render function. What I was trying to figure out, which nobody could hear because my audio was blah, 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 blah. Oh, good. Great. Thanks for joining in, by the way, Stephen. I don't think I've seen you here before. I do know a couple of Stephen Andersons. Are you one of the ones that I know, or are you somebody completely different? And unfortunately, the comments are showing up on YouTube, but they are not showing up in the combined chat. So, oh well, I will have to just deal with having two chat windows open right now, which is fine. Anyway, so I'm at the point where I'm trying to override the include function for two reasons. One, I think I have to, because I'm using this ETA render template text vars, and because my template has references to file names in it, and this doesn't know where I'm reading the file from, which I don't want it to. I kind of want to keep the reading of the file abstracted from the rendering of the file for my purposes for what I'm going to be doing here. So I want to be able to have custom directories and stuff like that. And I'm not going to be using this in Express. I'm going to be using it as a text template for email. So anyway, because of this, I need to specify some sort of include function that when it's given a name and a conf, which I couldn't find any examples of what this actually looks like. It's very clear. Okay, you need to define this file or this function, and it needs to have the signature, but I have no clue as to what it's supposed to return, or really even what these things look like. So I don't know. So I'm just going to try to run this. I don't know if it supports async. I'm imagining it probably doesn't, because it does caching from what I read. So it seems like it will assume that it's okay, and I agree with this. As a one-time cost, there's nothing wrong with running sync functions. So if you're going to run a function and you're immediately going to put it in cache, there's not a strong argument for it has to be an async function. But there's also not a strong argument for why shouldn't it be an async function. Because if you're only going to run it once and then put it in cache, then you don't have the overhead of an async function every time you run it either, because you're only running it the one time. In any case, we're going to run this and see what happens. My guess is that it's not going to work and it's going to throw some mad errors. But hopefully, whatever's inside of this conf object will be a little bit helpful. So let's see what happens when we do node render. Options is not defined. So unfortunately, because of the way that this template system is written, so you see eval at compile. I'm going to have to look at the source code is most likely what's going to have to happen. So I will go ahead and do that and see if I can figure out from the source code where, and then I'm going to check the comments in just a second. But I'll see if I can figure out from the source code where the include file is or what its function signature is supposed to be. And I'll make an issue about it and then see if we can get some docs for it at some point. But let's just look in here. Include file. Oh, that's terrible. Seriously? The only place that... No, that can't be right. That cannot be right. That the only place that this is referenced is in the README? No, the code has to be somewhere. That's frustrating. How could this be? And it looks like what we're getting, unfortunately, is not the source code, but a combined render of the TypeScript, blah, blah, blah. Seriously? No, there's include in here. So why in the world, maybe it's all of these, maybe this was developed on Windows, or maybe the TypeScript compiler uses the wrong type of return characters. Okay, let me get over here. Only here once before, Steven says. Okay, well, welcome back. Glad to have you. Oh, and hello. Saw somebody else just joined in as well. I came across ETA is just it's a template system, and it actually is a template system. It has partials, it has layouts, it has the things that a template system is supposed to have. I would never recommend in a million years anybody use EJS for any reason, unless I guess the one reason would be that you already are using it. But then if you could switch over to ETA, which would take some amount of effort, it wouldn't be as simple as a find replace. But EJS is stupid. It's not a template system. I don't know why anybody uses it. I have no idea why it's popular. It doesn't have layouts, which is one of the... You must have... You don't call it a template system if you don't have layouts. Anyway, enough of me being grumpy. So I can see here, I don't know why this stuff was being ignored. Oh, because I have it set to ignore dist folders. So if we look in my git ignore, dist is being ignored, and then RG will automatically ignore everything inside of your git ignore. So if I were to do this, let's put some U's on here and then put include and then do node modules. So the -UUU means don't ignore anything, which unfortunately, as we can see, means that it's also not ignoring minified code. But this is what we want right there. Somewhere in here, we're going to understand what this include thing is all about and what the function signature is supposed to look like. It's so kind of funny to me that the documentation is really, really good about everything about this except for, this is how you use it. This is why it exists, da-da-da-da-da. What does it look like? What's the function supposed to return? It doesn't tell you. Anyway. Is Node entirely network related? Stephen, tell me a little bit more about your background so I can kind of know where to take this from. Because I would say that the primary use case of Node is building APIs. That's what I would say. But tell me a little bit about what your background is, and I'll try to tailor a response a little bit better. Okay, so compile to string, include. None of that's going to work. This is all just helper function stuff. Include. Okay. Include helper. This is likely where we need to be. This.templates.get template name or path. Template. If not template, could not fetch template. So templates.get must be the thing that we're really looking for. Include helper. Include. Well, what does this return though? What does it return? Return template. Data and this. Ooh, that's nasty. But I guess that's necessary if you're... No, it shouldn't be necessary. It could just pass that in as the first argument. That's what I would do. I don't use this for any reason whatsoever. Especially now with arrow functions, and now that whole thing's screwed up. Because arrow functions help more than they hurt, because if people didn't understand this before, they certainly don't understand it now. Include helper. So this one at least is not async. Let's just go see what template is, because I'm guessing it's a function. Maybe it is like render. Can we find function template? No? Well, that's odd. So where does template come from? Okay, template comes from read file. No, this is a different type of template. This is load file. So what about templates? Templates.get, templates, templates, templates. Templates equals templates. Templates equals new cacher. Okay. What's a cacher? This is going to be a PETA. Okay, I'm going to do a little bit of guess and check here. I think it's supposed to return a string. I'm guessing that's... Let me look back in here again. Include... You're learning front-end web development, currently learning React, but have less than 1 year experience with JavaScript, so basically everything is new to me. Okay. Yeah, if you're doing front-end web development, that's really tough. I think that's the hardest thing in the industry right now, because there's hardly any leadership, and most of the leadership is what I would term to be insane. I would highly recommend watching Douglas Crockford's The Better Parts. In fact, I think it's a 9-part series in total, where each one is somewhere between 30 minutes and an hour. But there is Crockford on JS, which is parts 1 through 8, and then The Better Parts, JavaScript The Better Parts, is an unofficial part 9. He was sponsored by Yahoo for the first 8, and then the 9th one came along later. But yeah, Node is JavaScript, and the nice thing about Node is it's actually JavaScript, and it's easy to differentiate in Node for the most part what's JavaScript and what's not JavaScript. But if it runs in vanilla Node without any special weird modifications, it's just JavaScript. Whereas React, you're not actually using JavaScript. You're using JSX, which is a language that is intended to look like JavaScript in most respects, and is expected that many of the features will eventually become part of JavaScript. But you're actually learning a custom language that's built by Facebook for what they're doing. I'm going to close the door here because there's some noise. Okay. Let me put my headphones back. Oh, I don't need to have my headphones on, do I? I guess I was just keeping them on there for comfort. It actually, no, I'm going to put them back on. It makes me feel better to wear my headphones. I feel like, I'm real. I'm doing it when I've got my headphones on. But there's actually, I put my headphones on just as a signal. It's a habit. If you look in Atomic Habits, they talk about this. There's things that you do that may not have anything to do with what you do, but they kind of put you in the right mental space. And putting on my headphones is one of those things for me. Most of the time, whether I'm at work or at home, if I have my headphones on, I'm working, but I'm not actually listening to anything. Although sometimes I do. It depends. So load file here. Oh, hello to you that just joined in. Feel free to tell me where you are, where you're from, what your background is, what your experience is. But yeah, so Node is really, really great for stitching APIs together on the back end. If you wanted to use command line tools, I'd recommend Go is a maybe a better solution. Go is a really great language to learn. If you're just starting out learning programming, I don't think there's anything better than Go. It's well paid. It's very, very simple. It's, in a way, it's the spiritual successor to Python. It takes much of its influence from Python, though not its syntax. Okay, so let me figure this out. I need to get back to where there was templates.get. Where was that at? Right here. Handle cache. Handle cache. Handle cache. Template func. Okay. So this... No, that's handle cache, though. So I don't... What I need to know is template name or path. So I guess I'm going to try defining. The first thing I'm going to try, which I don't think is going to work, because this is returning a function. So I think it is doing... But this is include helper. And I'm not clear where include... okay. Here we can see include helper. Is include file the same? We don't see an include file. We just see an include helper. So is include file supposed to call include helper, or how is this supposed to work? Again, I'm looking at stuff that is not available in the documentation. They reference this include file function and say, oh, if you need to do some custom stuff, override it. But then it doesn't actually give what the function is or does. Here we have an override to it. And I'm sorry for all the junky stuff in the editor. This is because I'm looking at a file that is not actually in my code. I should probably look at this on GitHub. It'd probably be easier and get the right syntax highlighting and not have all these weird M characters in there. But I think this is a result of it was compiled on Windows, or maybe the TypeScript compiler just puts in weird end-of-line characters. Called with include file. Template and config. Yeah, I think I'm barking down the wrong tree here. I think what I need to be doing instead, I'm going to back up. I don't think that overriding this include function is going to help me, and I don't think that it can be async. I think it has to be synchronous. So I think what I need to do is actually use the define to define. It looks like layouts and partials are both defined in the same way. So I think I can say, we'll see. We're going to try this. And so instead of giving it what I did give it, hold on, what was it, TPL? So let's say like this. I'm going to call it layout/transactional email. I'm going to go into this function. I'll take the comments again in just a second. So let's see if I can define this here. And then we'll reverse this a little bit to where I think I'm going to need another function that's a define function. And we're going to need this to be, I think it's fine if it is async actually. So we're going to have a name and a file path. Maybe not, maybe we don't need the file path. Preload, maybe. Let's call it preload, sure. And I'm just going to move this stuff out of here. And I'm going to get rid of that. So back to this. And we're going to do something like this here. And we're just going to await preload. Await preload. Maybe preload should be all lowercase. And then let's say I'm going to call this prefixed name. Prefixed name. That's what I'm going to call it. I don't need this. And we're going to have TPL-dir. We're going to move yet one more up. So I'm going to call this prefixed name. And sorry, and I will check the comments just a second. I haven't forgotten about that. I'm just trying to work through my problem here. TPL-dir, we're just going to have to move this up to the top level. And I'm going to have to rename that. I guess I might as well. If not fs dot, no, is it path? No, fs. They rename it to, was it access? I think that's what they call it nowadays. Now you get dot catch. Let's see. I want this to be a no op. How can I make this? I wish that we had a global function to do nothing, a no op function. I don't think we do. Let me try this. Sure, thank you. Muchas gracias. Okay, I guess this is a good time to take a look at. I was struggling a bit in remembering the syntax. I'm assuming you're talking about React. So here's the one thing about with the comments is that there's first of all, you can't see them because they're not loading in this little thing. But if they were loading in this thing, you would see the difference between when it's even available for me to read and when we're talking. So the more context, the better, rather than being colloquial, just because it's difficult for me to remember, oh, what was I saying 5 minutes ago? But I'm guessing you're saying it's struggling a bit remembering the syntax of React, when things will be enclosed and with braces or not, etc. Yeah, and React adds yet another layer of braces. I think it's better to say HTML is one language, and HTML has very simple rules, and JavaScript is another language, and JavaScript has increasingly more complex rules, but you can, as JavaScript argues in the better parts, you're not hired to use every feature of the language. You can choose to use. It's important to know the features that you shouldn't use, but approaching half of the features in JavaScript you shouldn't use. And you can be more productive learning less and being good at it rather than learning everything you could possibly do and finding interesting use cases for them. And yeah, I would say that, to me, I agree. React is very much a hack. And I don't know if you have the programmer mindset, as I don't know how to define that, but I'm going to use that term anyway. I don't know if you've developed the programmer mindset yet, but there are things you should definitely be asking yourself in terms of where does this come from and how does this work? That if you had a little bit more experience with other programming languages would be glaringly stark. But if you're coming into React from nothing, you don't know to ask, why does this look like magic? If you knew to ask, why does this look like magic, there would be many things in React that just seem off to you. And the answer is side channels. React does a lot of stuff through both transpilation and side channels. By side channel, I mean that you're defining a function, and when that function is being called, before the function is called, React does a bunch of state setup that's hidden away. It exists, it's not magic, but it's hidden away, and you'd never know that it was there unless you really understood JavaScript really well. And so this leads to hard to read, hard to understand, hard to debug. So I don't like React at all. And sorry for those of you that hate the sound of somebody eating. Okay, so I guess it's just as well, actually, if I let this air bubble up. I also think we ought to do something. I'm just going to do here. Maybe not. I do need to make sure prefixed name includes, let's see, dot dots. I think this is right. So anytime you're accessing file paths in something that's server side, you always want to make sure you can never assume that the file path goes to where you think that it ought to go. People can, do things. They can manipulate what the file path looks like to get it to load something else. So this is just a standard check that's catches 99%, if not 100%. Well, depending on your implementation, catches almost everything that they could do wrong. They could start from root and give an absolute path that goes somewhere it shouldn't, or they can have a relative path that has some dots in it. So I want to further restrict this at some point. For example, it should probably have to begin with layouts or partials or something of that nature. And I guess I'm saying I'm going to preload this, but I think that we may, in development at least, want to be able to hot load new templates without restarting the server. Maybe not. In any case, this is not a bad practice. So there we go. And the thing I need to change is my layout, transaction email, if I created that. Should have that extension. Really, I think it should be XML because it's not HTML, but it's also not quite XML because then it would need a different doc type. Whatever. Close enough. The point is, the final extension is really what this signifies is what I want my editor to do the highlighting and syntax checking on. And HTML is such a loose standard that MJML should highlight and prettify and syntax check and everything just fine. Okay, checking over here in comments again. I'm still shocked at how popular React has become. 50% of all jobs creating the word JavaScript also contain the word React. It's from my most recent job search. Yeah. Well, it's one of those things of mass hysteria. And as I've gotten older, because I'm 35 now, and I am really experiencing the world way differently, especially in the wake of Corona, and seeing how things can be taken out of context and something can become a worldwide phenomenon based on completely false information. And you look at things like Bitcoin, like Corona, there's elements of truth to these phenomenon and how they're described, but largely they're described in a way to manipulate people's perceptions for people to make money, right? I don't want to get too much into it because this is tech, not politics, but I think that it's pretty fair to say that the medical studies have shown that there were things that there were existing with just the low-hanging fruit, vitamin D, sunlight, being outdoors. These are things that it seems that are non-controversial in terms of every medical doctor, regardless of political affiliation, seems to believe these couple of things, but yet things have been twisted in a way to get power and to get money. And I don't really know who's benefiting from React. I don't know what causes that mass hysteria, but I suspect that somebody's really good at marketing and they say the right things to mass manipulate huge swaths of the population. And much like Bitcoin. Bitcoin does not have any real technology behind it. It's a Rube Goldberg machine. If you knew how to, if you could read the Hashcash paper or just the Hashcash website, that's the essence of what Bitcoin is, plus some signing. Anyway, it's a Rube Goldberg machine. But there's lots of stuff in technology where people trust what they don't understand more than what they do understand. And if you try to explain to someone the reason that you can't understand it is because it's hogwash, they don't get that. There's a biblical verse, something to the effect of, a prophet is never accepted in his own land. A prophet's always run out of town by his own people. When there are true experts that know what they're talking about, that provide simple solutions, people reject them. And when there are mystics that provide magical solutions or things that cannot be explained well, people like it. Anyway, hopefully this render function is going to run now. I wouldn't say you're forced to learn it, React. But yeah, it's just, I don't understand why it's popular. Backend people don't like React. If you take a survey of people who are front-end people, backend, the difference is backend people are generally, you're going to find a higher concentration of software engineers among backend programmers. And backend people seem to think more structured and what I would call, in the true sense of the word, logically. And I think that that's why you find that backend people really don't like React, is because it breaks a lot of the rules of general good programming practices. Basically, it goes against half of the Zen of Python and the Go proverbs, which are, although somewhat poetic, and in the case of the Go proverbs, they're a little bit language specific. The Zen of Python is completely agnostic to the language. But it breaks about half of those things, and I would say those are very defensible, non-controversial points if you read those, which I recommend you do. There should be a link to that in the doobly-doo. There should be the Beyond Code. In the Beyond Code section, I think I have a link to Creeds of Craftsmanship, and then it has a link to those. Okay, so where am I at? Preload. Did I do the preload thing? I'm calling preload here. So this should work. And then I'm going to render, and when it renders, it should find this there. I think this will work now. Let's see if it does. Now, so this is the one negative to ETA, is it is not built with good error messages. If you use it correctly, then everything works swimmingly. But if you do not use it correctly, then it can be kind of obnoxious. So I don't know why it's broken right now. I'm assuming, oh, that's actually really clear. It's because options are here, but I don't know what the options do. I'm just going to leave them out. That might have been my problem before. It never got to my render function, but I was okay. Could not find the template. Tried paths, ETA, what? Paths tried. It lists 0 paths tried. That's not very useful. What? Okay. So again, sorry, the YouTube comments are not showing up here. If you want the comments to show up here, I think I'm going to make a Discord too, just for the live streams. I think I'm going to make a Discord for Beyond Code Live. But if you do comment on Twitch, it'll actually show up here, as opposed to YouTube. It won't show up right now. Just some sort of API error, temporary thing. But I do have the YouTube comments still up on YouTube. Okay, I'm not really clear. So I did define this template though, right? Let me go back here. It's always these little nitty-gritty things, you know? Oh. Define. Name partials have to be defined ahead of time. To define a cache item, I'm defining partials, but I want to define layouts. Define. This is what I'm doing, right? Oops. Let me go back to my render function. Call in preload. Oh, whoops. Partial speaking. That's not what I wanted to do. I wanted to say tmpl text. So this is a prefixed name. I wonder if you're not allowed to have slashes in names. That would be rather disappointing to me. We're going to get this figured out. I want to be able to do it with render. I don't want to have to call render file. So I must have to define things ahead of time because I can't overwrite the include file function, or I could, but I don't have the documentation for what to do. But this looks like it should work. I'm going to just try this real quick. Let's make sure that we do this. So we're going to configure it. Oh, actually, before, yeah, I need to call the configure before I call the preload. Maybe I should move that even out of that function entirely and up here as an initialization type of thing. I think that in this case that's appropriate. So I'm preload. Let's sanity check here. Are we getting this? And it looks right. And then what was that? I think I've got it in my paste buffer. I do indeed. And then we're going to get layouts transactional email out of here. This seems to be appropriate. Let's run and see what we get. Okay, debug. Indeed, it loaded the file. Indeed, it was able to do templates.get and get the function. So why is it saying that it can't find it? Let me make sure I don't have a typo. That is a long word. It definitely could be something that I copied correctly in one place and made a typo if I typed it out by hand in another. So we see in layout, it is named correctly. We see in preload, it is named correctly. We see in Git, it is named correctly. So I'm not clear on how this could be wrong. I need to understand layouts a little better, I guess. Let me go back to the layouts. It's never as simple as it seems. Simple layouts. Okay, then we're going to check the comments again. Okay, no new comments. Yeah. I've got my... Okay, I still got a little bit of dew left. Before a template returns, it checks to see whether the file path is defined. Conditional templates. It looks like it wants strings. This is just kind of frustrating. How to use layouts. Include file. Okay, let's go back a step. I'm going to do a couple of other things. I'm going to go into layouts and I'm going to do a soft link to this as just .eta. Let's see if it loads now. All right, let's try a little bit more. We're going to get there. I might just have to... Because if nothing else, this should find the template, right? ls templates.eta. That exists. And let me make sure I made the link correctly. Yeah, I made the link correctly. So this should be there. Maybe, okay, I'm going to try a couple other things. We're going to call, where's that configure at? There's configure, and let's say views, and let's say, I mean, views exists here. Okay, cool. So here's my problem. It's working. It looks like for some reason the layouts is not checking for defined partials. It's only looking for the file name. So I'm going to try this again. Prefixed name. Yeah, it should work. And what did I have this going to do? So it calls the render, it returns the HTML. So let's do the .then here. And then we're going to get some data console.log data.html. And hopefully this will come out, because that should be a string. So hopefully this will come out as expected. Let me run this again. Okay. Holy moly. See how terrible this looks? This is why I'm using MJML, because this is what it looks like after it's been compiled with all the right options, with all the inline CSS, with the different types of CSS for the different browsers and mail clients. Having to do all these table hacks. Okay, so it's coming out. It looks good. Let's see if I can find anything about layout. How to make data available in all partials. How to use layouts with ETA. Let me just review these again. One of them I already looked at. Oh gosh, I hate it when people do screenshots of their code editor. Copy and paste and use code blocks. But again, this is probably a newbie who has no idea that you can use code blocks. The resources out there are just so bad. I'm quite glad that I did not become a developer now, because I feel that there's so much garbage out there and it is so hard to get good mentorship and good tutorials. Everything out there is just so bad. Well, unless you're in the Go community, in which case everything's gold. All the tutorials and all of the talks, everything is consistent. People believe the same things. They code the same way. And it all points to here's a right way to do things that works, or here's a way to do things that works and that follows the guidelines and the standards and that is reasonable. But in the web development community broadly, it is a dumpster fire. Oh, really? Is the template engine from Squirrely? Yeah, I've looked into Squirrely before. I'm actually using Squirrely in a project. Another reminder, the things that you hear of the most are usually the worst. It's kind of like McDonald's, you know? Everybody knows about McDonald's, but their food's, actually, you can grow to like it. It can be an acquired taste, but Squirrely is good. ETA is good, obviously. Having a little bit of trouble with ETA, but if it does what it promises to do, and I'm just missing out on a little vital detail, whatever. You always sink some time into figuring these things out. What? ETA doesn't have layout support built in? Okay, so I guess as late as this, ETA was absolute garbage. Why? That's, again, just, there's no point in developing a template system if it doesn't support layouts. That's what a template system needs to do. Peeking over at the comments. Oh, hello. Welcome. Feel free to tell me where you're from, what you do, what your interest is in Node or ETA or MJML or sending email templates or any of that stuff. I like to carry on from the conversation. And Stephen, are you still there? Are you still watching in? Okay. I wonder if maybe I should just use Squirrely instead. I'm already a little bit down this road. Doesn't mean much. I was using Squirrely for the front end, though. I thought that's what it kind of was about. Maybe I'm wrong. But I did already get rendering, and I thought I got layouts done with Squirrely. I definitely had some partials. What was number 98? Yes, this would be awesome. Okay, this is worth following. I don't know what this is supposed to say here. Okay, at this point I'm just going to open up an issue. I don't know whether this is a bug report or a feature request. I don't know what this is. Let's go with a bug report. Doesn't read layout partials from partials cache. Okay, let's see if we can break this down into a really simple. Steven says, yeah, I'm still here, just doing other stuff as well. Got it. Well, let me go into this. Let's see. We've got this. And we've got this. So what is this supposed to be HTML? Did I put the, oh, I forgot to put the block there. Okay, layouts, transactional email, blah, 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 blah. Okay. And what did I do? Let me just turn off this no number. Let's see if I can make this no number. There we go. So I'm going to try to provide the full enchilada here for as much as I can. And then I'll trim a bit of the fat. So we obviously don't want to confuse the issue with MJML. That all looks good. Let's go ahead and get rid of the security stuff. Security. No, we don't even worry about that. So let's just put, oh, excuse me. There we go. So we got like that. So can I remove some abstraction here? I'm going to leave this here for right now, and then I'll remove it a little bit better. A second. Works. And then let's see, I don't want to log that out. Confirmed. Layout partial exists in the cache. And then we're going to resolve template dir with the name of the partial. So I'm just going to put in here example. This might be dot slash, what do I call this? Welcome dot ETA dot MJML dot HTML. Okay, and then the render. And I don't need any of that there. That's all confusing the issue. Let's get rid of all that. And we can okay, fails. How does it fail? Okay, let me go back into here because we're actually going to have to get rid of this, I think. Okay, that didn't fail. But I need to remove layouts. Yeah, I need to remove that. And then this should fail again. I wonder if there's a way to define extensions that it should look for. That would be helpful too. But I would prefer to preload this, but if I can't preload it, I definitely want the extension to be on there. So I'm going to look for that too. Let's see if we got any other comments. Not yet. Oh, yay. Okay, it looks like the temporary issue is over. So, Steven, would you mind just saying hello or anything? I just want to see comments should start loading here again. I got the little notification says it's connected now. So I don't know why it wasn't connected before, but I just kind of want to see if it's connected. So would appreciate that if you'd help me test that out real quick. And very little lag today. That was actually really quick. Oh. All right, so what do we call this? Welcome. And let me just use the common syntax here for the sake of the issue. And I'm going to type a little bit so my talking and typing at the same time doesn't slow me down, and then I'll go back and kind of explain what I'm doing here to fill out this issue. Where was that Git at? That one works. So this actually should probably be more something like this. That's actually that works well enough. Okay, and then we're going to have, what was it, percent, like this. I should be able to do welcome. Like this, it.name. Yeah. Okay, so I'm trying to give them the absolute simplest, concise use case here. So I've got eta.templates.define welcome, and I give it a template that I'm defining that has it.body. This is clear. This is a layout. I'm actually going to do layouts /welcome, layout /welcome, layout, and layout /welcome. And then to be able to use it, like so, and then, but instead I get an error. And then I'm going to put the error in here. It works. Dun, 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 dun. Yeah, so at the start of the stream, I thought it was a little weird that it had been 20 minutes or so and nobody had joined in. So I'm really glad that you had pointed out that issue about the audio. Because normally, well, now at least, at the beginning, 6 months ago, there'd be 0 for the entire stream. And now I'm peaking at 4, sometimes 5. But it was really good to know that the audio was buggy. Just a reminder to us all, reboot your computer at least once a month. Even if you've got a Mac, you got to do that now because the way they do the system updates and try to, or who knows what else it could have been. I think it was something with the system drivers. I think it was because there were system updates that had installed but not been fully initialized properly. Okay, what was the error that I got? Oh, did I not paste the error here? This is the one. Okay. So I'm just going to check and see. Could not, yeah, I don't have that error here. Okay. App. Layouts. I'm just going to simplify this. So the problem with simplifying it is that sometimes when you simplify it, you end up simplifying it to a point where the bug can't be if you're on Windows Reboot Daily, where you can't reproduce the bug because something in what you simplified may be part of the problem, I guess. Okay, so I expect I could define a layout partial as documented and then be able to use it like so, but instead I get an error, could not find template, path stride, blah, 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 steps to reproduce. Here's my example project. I think that this is correct. So what we would want render we want to return. Let's just get rid of that entirely. Do this. There we are. And then that's a stupid name. I shouldn't have called it welcome. Let's call it default. Beautiful. Excellent choice. Default. There we go. Ha 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 ha. So this is eta.render. And then was there anything else that I needed? eta.render. And then vars, I guess I would need to put in name Tom. And then what else? Anything else I need to put in there? No, I think that example pretty much works on its own. So I'm going to put this up top. And then I'm going to put this one. Expected behavior should load from defined partials. Before failing with a not found on file system error. Screenshots. No. Sure. Node v 16.x ETA at latest. No, that's it. Okay. Now what I need to do is figure out what the workaround is. Oh, whoops, that doesn't look right. Oh, because that needs to be in JavaScript. There we go. Okay, let me take a look back over here. Yeah, comments. Oh, the last comment was just that, the one about Windows. Yeah. Dargon Windows. So probably, let's see if we could trim this down a little bit more. Because what I'd like, and then I need to go test this as well. So what I'm going to do is create another directory called bug. We're going to go into the directory. I'm going to create the smallest possible reproducible case for this thing. Pretty much. So let's go ahead and let's get rid of this bit here. And we'll just go ahead and say let prefixed name equals and then let's see, I need to do welcome here. And again, put in a name, I think. Oh, this is... Yeah, let's consolidate this down, make this simpler. And then... All right. Okay, I'm just going to try to put this over in here as render.js, paste it all in. Path. Path has already been declared. What is it talking about? Indeed it has. Let's see here. Has layout. So I may run this and then go, whoops, go back. Sorry, I'm not talking much because I'm just kind of thinking to myself, but if you can kind of see, I'm just saying, okay, well, let's whoops, copy and paste this stuff over here. Just trying to make a reduced test case that doesn't have as much of my specific stuff in here, so that if somebody actually does, well, one, it's going to help me debug it myself. But if somebody actually does take a look at this, I want them to have an easy time of it. And I want that what I want them to have the easiest time just copy and paste and get this thing to work. ETA.mjml.html. Okay. All right. Now, if we run render, we get the problem, right? Path is tried. Could not find template. So let's try this one more time. Get rid of layouts here. Make sure that the name matches. And that is right. So layouts, transactional email. Okay, cool. Well, now I'm just going to go update this now that I've got it all formatted and everything. I'm really, really confident that this is working the way that it should. So I'm actually just going to copy it out, and then I'm going to copy this into the issue so that I know that what I have tried locally and what I'm presenting them is a fairly minimal test case, and that it is exactly what I tried, not off by a single character from what I myself have tried. That way there's no discrepancy of, oh, it looks like you didn't do this right, or you had a typo here. And in actuality, it would just be, oh, no, that typo was created because I was trying to make a reduced test case. No. Here we know for certain, because I am copying and pasting exactly what is on disk. So we know that it's not a matter of a typo of me trying to make a more simplified test case. Okay, so this is good. Now I need to work on my workaround, and the first thing I want to know for my workaround is, do I have any ability to change the extension? File extension, file handling. Here we use ETA. Well, that doesn't seem to work well. All right, let me see. We got any more comments? No, no more comments yet. Oh, hello. Thanks for joining in. Feel free to tell me what brings you to the channel. Do you work in Node? Where in the world are you? What's your interest in the stream today? Okay. Let's see. So I'm going to go back up one. I'm going to get rid of that bug folder. And I'm going to search for .eta in the node modules folder and ETA. Let's see what happens. And I probably need to do that -u trick. I probably just need to go directly into that one dist file. Okay, let's clear everything out. By the way, Command K is how you clear out your terminal screen. It took me years to learn that, and now I use it every day. File handlers. Render file, rendered equals template, blah, blah, blah. It looks like that's just a comment. And ext name. So there is a way, what I'm seeing right here, if name does not have an extension, it will default to ETA. Okay, cool. Excellent. So this works exactly as it should. The documentation is not perfectly clear on it, but I was easy to find it in the code pretty quickly, so I'm happy about that. So what we can do is we can say .eta.mjml.html. Oh, wait, that's not where we would want to define that, is it? We'd want to define that where? We'd want to define that in our little dealio here. So now I suspect that we can comment out our preload function, and this will just be our workaround, which kind of stinks because if you were doing this in some sort of large scale, you'd potentially want to be able to, I don't know, you really want to pull layouts out of a database. If it gets that big, you should probably build your own template engine, because at that point, you're probably doing something at scale that warrants having your own engine. All right, so let's see, do we get a render? Yes! Hallelujah! No, so now I'm going to go post my workaround, which I guess is just as well. Bum, 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 bum. Okay, so workaround. Number 1, set views. Number 2, use full file name. Thank goodness ETA honors file extensions. There we go. So, what does this look like in reality? Command K to clear the screen. Maybe I can just nest these. I think these are going to be so simple. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Kind of weird, but use 3 spaces to indent when you are nesting under a bulleted list in Markdown. So use the full file name. What was this? HTML? 1, 2, 3. And I'm probably going to have to indent everything by 3. Let me just go ahead and copy 3 spaces and see if I can just paste, 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 paste. There we go. Okay, that looks like it works. Took forever, but I got it. Huzzah. Chink, chink. For those of you not watching, I just did cheers with you with my Mountain Dew can. That's now in its final resting place. Well, not its final resting place. That'll be the landfill. Well, It'd be the bellies of worms. Back into the animals. Circle of life. We'll have no final resting place. For something to have a final resting place, the universe would have to be known to come to an end. Otherwise, we have very few guarantees that anything could ever be at rest. Okay. Oh, that's not what I wanted. So let me double check back in here. I'm just going to get rid of this code. It's in an issue. I will go ahead and link to the issue in the comments here. And layouts can only be read from views, folders, not defined as partials are. Okay, I will use the word like there in this particular case. I'm trying to stop saying like. I probably already said that before in the stream and corrected myself a few times already. So I'm trying to not even use it where it's an appropriate use. Just eliminate it from my vocabulary entirely. And then after that, I'll work on maybe, or some other verbal stutter that I have that makes me sound less intelligent than I really am. But the problem would be if I got rid of too many of them, then I might sound pretentious. And that wouldn't do any better. You have to find the right balance. But if I eliminate the verbal stutters first and then reintroduce them, then I can just repeat the cycle every 6 months as I get worse and worse and worse. And then get better again. Layouts can only be read from views folders, not defined as partials are. See, and then I'll give a link to this issue. Okay. Alrighty, now the next bit that I need to do is to actually, now I've got all the plumbing done. Now that the plumbing is done, I think it is fair to move forward. Let's just take a look at this one more time. It says, hello, AJ. Where's the part about the preview text? Let's see, is that down in here? Oh, wow. Just look at all this stuff that you'd have to be aware of. And I trust Mailjet with there's different interpretations of how to do emails and what you need to use. But obviously Mailjet is a company that's focused on that, and they're low level enough that developers can and want to use them. Unlike, for example, MailChimp, where they're not meant for developers to be able to integrate in any easy sort of way. So the fact that they made this module open source, I'm very grateful for. Thank you, Mailjet, despite some of my other complaints about the clickbaiting me into using a WYSIWYG editor that doesn't actually give me the MJML that I was hoping for when I clicked the link, because it made it sound like that's what I was going to get. Anyway, wow, just so much crazy stuff. Wait a minute, though. I don't know if I feel good about this. It wants to include Google Fonts. I guess I can appreciate that from the perspective that at least the fonts should be consistent. But I don't know if I appreciate that in general. I don't know that I want people to have to be loading lots of different resources just to open a text email from me. I take the trust away. All right, but what I'm looking for, where's the preview text? I'm just trying to make sure that this actually came out. Maybe it didn't come out because maybe, did I get rid of it? Let me go check if I got rid of it. No, it should be right here. So it should be, oh, I forgot. I changed it to title and preview. So that's why I was searching for the wrong thing that I wouldn't be able to find amidst all of this mess. So let's render that one more time, and then I'm going to do a little search. Do we have bracket title? No. How about preview? No. Okay, I'm a little bit confused about this now. Because I do see my hello AJ down here. Was that the message that I actually wanted to put in? But I don't see my other bits. So we should see it.preview. Let me just put some blank text in there for the sake of being able to find it if this renders correctly. Okay, so I guess the problem is that the it variable is either not being defined, or I'm not really sure what to make of that. Let me see if I can figure this one out. So if I'm in, let's see, I'm in this bit here with the TPL. Maybe my problem is that we should expect the same it, yeah? Let's see if that works. Huh. Okay, let's verify that what's going in on the vars. Console.log vars.preview. Maybe I didn't update vars because, yeah, okay, we've got, oh, we didn't have title. Title was spelled wrong. And my little spell check caught that. I just wasn't paying attention to it earlier. So we do have title. We do have preview. So sanity check. Vars.title. Vars preview. It's all these little things. The quick start should have an extremely simple thing that uses many of the features. So a very simple layout that just has a header with, say, a title in it and a footer with a copyright in it. And then there should be a seed project or something that uses every feature once. And preferably in the most explicit way possible, not with all of the implicit things assumed. I am big fan. Explicit over implicit. These are words to live by. No one ever regretted being explicit in their code. Okay, so let me render this one more time. And let's go up to the top. We can see hello from the elves, read friend and enter. So we should see hello from the elves in here, but we don't. Why is that? So something is wrong. Let me try, what am I trying? And if anybody else wants to look at the docs and give me some thoughts, I would appreciate it. If you catch something that I don't catch, that would be great. I'm going to go with, it would be really dumb if I'm putting in the vars that it needs to render, if I have to do this every single time, if the only thing that it's going to get is .body. Maybe that wouldn't be dumb. Let me think about it. I have to think about if there is a good perspective as an engineer, what would be the fallbacks of including as you're going through layouts? I guess layouts could be layered. Well, I don't know. I guess I shouldn't pass judgment yet because I don't have enough information to truly say. But what would be interesting is if I knew a little better. Maybe there's an easier way to define this. Could this work? Let's see if this can work. Well, first of all, let's see if this works at all. What I just changed. Come on now. You got to be kidding me. You can't not give me a way to propagate. You got to be kidding me. Okay, there's probably, let me take a look at what this object looks like. What I want to see is how do I do raw? Whoops. Raw. Or how do I use JavaScript? Let's see, loops, looping over arrays. So it seems as though I can put in JavaScript here. Oh, did I forget to put the equals? Okay, this might be my own silly fault. I think I forgot to put the equals. Okay, so let's go back. First of all, let's see if this renders. My own fault. Hello from the elves. Awesome. So that's rendering. So now let's back up the truck a little bit. We're going to take out these additional options because my hope is that now that means nothing. So if we Command K, node render, and then Command F to find hello again, we still get our hello from the elves. Excellent. So as it stands right now, everything is working as expected. Let me look at the Git log here. I actually want to, I'm going to do git stash. And no, git stash pop. I'm not going to worry about that right now. I do need to leave soon. I'm going to go into the office for a live deploy that we're doing and a meeting. So I probably got maybe max of 10 minutes. I told him I'd come in around 3:30. But this is looking good. I think we're at the right place. So finally, after all of that, and this is one of those things where, you know what I'm going to do so that I don't hate my future self? I'm going to go create a Git repo that is called ETA seed or ETA starter or something of that nature. If you want to vote on what I should call it, let me know. Yes, I am. Well, do you think that my office mates would appreciate me talking to a camera and all of that? Yeah, I'm at my house. Okay. Repository name. ETA starter. Node, ETA, maybe demo? I don't know what to call it, starter. Let's call it demo. A small but non-trivial, maybe this is trivial, we'll see, project for ETA. And the thing is, that's nice about this is I'm going to be able to come back to this and it's going to work in the future. So let's put our node ignore in there. And then one thing I'm surprised that they don't put in the ignore, well, maybe they do now. I think they do put the .env in there. And then license, really, I guess CC0 would be a good one for this. I tend to put things as MPL Moz 2, but Creative Commons 0 Universal would be appropriate for this. I think I'm going to do that. I think I'm going to go with the CC0. That's public domain. It's official public domain. If you want to put something in the public domain, do not just put, quote, public domain. That doesn't mean anything. That won't stand up. Well, it potentially could stand up in court, but a business is not going to accept it. You need to use Creative Commons 0 license. That is the official public domain license as far as there can be an official public domain license. Public domain is something that is extremely legally ambiguous, and so anything that you want to put in the public domain needs to have a real license. If you want to put it in the public domain, but you don't want to use the CC0 because you don't like its complex wording or something like that, one, I'd recommend just using the short tag for it, which I describe in the article on, if you go to rootcompany.com/blog, there is an article on public domain, how to release software into the public domain, and there's a little tiny snippet that you can use that is appropriate. Anyway, aside from that, you could dual license. You can put an SBDX identifier that has parentheses around it and say MIT or C license and license. And that is effective as well. But it needs to be something that is parsable by a computer. And the only public domain license that is parsable by a computer is the CC0, the Creative Commons 0 license. Okay, so let me go ahead. I'm going to open this up. I'm going to put this under projects and root, not pictures, but projects and root. And I did see out of the corner of my eye, it looked like a couple of comments might have come in, so I'll check those in just a second. Okay, ETA demo. So we're going to do npm init. And this is ETA demo. Yeah, sure. Let's go with that version. Sure. We can call it 1. And then what did I just call it in the repo here? A small but non-trivial project. Not for ETA. A small but non-trivial ETA template project. There we go. See, when I say trivial, I mean things that are so simple and so small that they're not actually useful, which is what most of the examples were, because they don't give the context to actually know what to do. ETA, EJS, Node, Express, MJML. And the license we're going with is CC0 1.0. This is okay. Kind of surprised they don't infer that from the license. However, that said, because I don't like having a big honky-do license, I am going to go back to my little blog and copy the small version. So these things are called standard headers. Node ETA demo, the little small snippets of license that redirect you to the long license. Oh, whoops, that's not what I wanted. Let's go back and grab this again, a small but non-trivial ETA template project. And it is, it is good to put things in the public domain. There's a lot of stuff that you can't copyright because it's so trivial. Well, you can copyright anything, but it wouldn't. It's all about how much money you have. You could take 2 lines. You could have A plus B, and somebody could win that in court if they were fighting against Oracle, and Oracle was the perpetrator. By this, I mean perpetrator in the true sense rather than the court sense, because in the court sense, you would be the perpetrator, and Oracle would be suing you. But in reality, Oracle would be the troll that is just trying to put you out of business for no good reason. But yes. And I will check those comments. Give me just 1 second. I'm just going to copy over the code first, and then I'll check them. Okay, so my index.js, basically that should be my render function, as I have it here right now. And by the way, I don't know if I think I already said this, but I'll say it again. The reason that I do not like to use, I think it's stupid to name a file .eta, ETA or .EJS or something like that. And there's a very simple reason for it, which is, and maybe I should stop being so derogatory with the whole calling things stupid and whatnot, because people do it out of ignorance. I don't think they do it because, well, no, some people, they just like bad code. Some people truly do like bad code. But what I was going to say is, because your editor doesn't know what ETA is, and it's a lot easier to just put on the template extensions so it's clear to the reader, oh, this is going to be templated with ETA, and it's going to be templated with MJML, and the result is going to be .html. And in this case, that makes perfect sense. It's with something like Jade, maybe it wouldn't. I see more comments are coming in. With something like Jade, maybe it wouldn't. But with MJML, or it does, because it already is like, or sorry, Jade is called Pug now. I forgot that. That's 10 years ago it was called Jade. Now it's called Pug. But it's an HTML template system. But with this, the syntax that's in the file looks like HTML and can be treated by an editor and by Prettier as HTML. And so that's why I want the .html extension. So when I open it up, my editor knows what it is and how to treat it, and will format it and highlight it and syntax check it properly. Okay. Gosh, got a whole bunch of... Yeah, so the reason I'm not using pbcopy is just because one of these is on a server and the other one is local. So I can't use pbcopy on the server. I could probably use iterm copy or was it it2 copy, it2 paste? Let me see, what is it? Yeah, it2 copy. But I think that let me check. Do they have an it2 paste? So I think the problem with the it2 copy is I think it actually uploads it somewhere in some sort of paste bin, and so I don't want to do that. But yeah, I am so glad that you know about pbcopy. So few people do, and it is such a useful tool. Let me go through and see what the comments are here, because I thought you were kind of working on your own time, but from home. Lol, pbcopy. That's a lot faster than cat and copy pasta. Yeah. No, I actually find that it is really helpful to live stream while I am coding. So one thing, I work in companies where I tend to have a position where I'm not really restricted by a lot of bureaucracy and garbage. So, and I tend to make code as non-proprietary as possible. So if I was working on a special algorithm for a client where the algorithm provides them value, I would not be live coding that. If I have to work in stuff that's highly specific to configuration for a particular product where there's things that I won't live stream because they're actually proprietary, but most code is not proprietary. Doing for loops and rendering a template, none of this is proprietary. The proprietary stuff and what I'm building up to with the emails is going to be the image that's in the email is going to be the company logo. That's what's proprietary about this. There's nothing proprietary about me using ETA or this discovery process that I have to go through for this thing. So anyway, the title of this one is Live at Work. And so when the title is Live at Work, I'm either working for my 9-to-5 or I'm working for a client. When the title is one of the project names that I work on, and you notice, you might be able to glean from some of the stuff that comes up on the screen, who I'm working for or what I'm doing sometimes, but I just keep it low key and I don't talk about it. And if it was something that was secret, if it was something where there's, I don't know if embargo is the right word, but no one can know that this product is about to come out. So for example, when I was working on the stuff for Sonos, nobody was supposed to know. It was an internal project that was proprietary information that the project even existed, that was going to become a product of theirs. So that stuff I wouldn't have streamed, and I didn't stream and I wouldn't have streamed. But this, we're just updating email templates. Anyway, let me get back to, what was this? Yeah, I'm going to call this one welcome instead of hello. Welcome dot ETA. Oh, and I was going to say, so there's something that someone shared with me. It's called UR2, and it's about how there are two parts of your brain that are active, but only one is connected to your mouth, but both are connected to your ears. And so there's some speculation that, especially for people that are ADHD or other things like that, talking out loud helps your brain function better because the speech part of your brain does not always communicate as effectively with the other part of your brain. But when you speak and you hear and your ears are connected on either side of your brain, both parts of your brain can process the information. So speaking out loud can actually help you to focus and to solve problems better. And then also the rubber ducking. As I'm working through the problem because you're there or you're not there, but I pretend you're there when no one's there, I am explaining the problem and then I arrive at solutions faster. So I spend less time in mires, because if I'm in a mire and I'm streaming and I'm doing nothing for 20 minutes, then, but debugging a problem the same way, that's no good. And sometimes people come up with very useful information as well. So that's good. But and there are times when I get sidetracked, but I probably would say I get less sidetracked. Let me see. I need to install this. And see, I'm being sidetracked by the work itself right now. Hold on. Let me do this, and then I'll continue. MJML at latest, probably. So there's times I get sidetracked, but I think that the sidetrack it keeps my brain engaged in the right processes rather than getting bored or getting frustrated and then going and checking Facebook or Twitter and then losing time that way. I'm losing time that is still in the productive space. And I highly doubt from my experiences that most people if you get 4 hours of actual work done in a workday and you work white collar, and that's what we call it, right? You work at a desk. Obviously, we're not wearing white collars, but you work at a desk and you're getting 4 hours or more of actual work done in the day, then you're doing a dang good job. And I would say that when I'm streaming, my focus is really strong, and if I do a 4 hour stream and I'm working on something for 4 hours, 4.5 hours, the work is getting done. So I think it's good. I don't have vars.json, so let me go ahead and copy vars.json. And then I'll load this all up. And let's see if it works. Are we at the point where it works yet? We're not, because this is not TPL, it is welcome. So let's look for welcome. And this makes sense. Requires not defined. I'm going to have to copy over. I think I just added a new default JS hint RC for myself that's way better. For some reason, I'd let it go bad. Whoops. We do want to rename this prettier to prettierrc.json. Okay. In fact, let me just do this so that it gets in my history correctly. And I don't know why I called it .tpl. I think it was I think that having the .tpl and the .txt might be redundant. Maybe I added the .txt because I wanted to be able to put comments in it, so I didn't want my editor complaining. Anyway, this looks good. And let's see, does this one look good? Oh, this is the whole shabab. Okay, and something is wrong here. So this is, okay, so I actually need to, let me go back to my template. For some reason, my template's off as well. Huh. But, yeah. I need to double check on that sometime. Whatever. Okay. So what do I need to do? All right, everything's coming out here. It looks good. There's nothing proprietary about this. So usually when I add prettier stuff, my commit is chore make prettier, capital P, so that it's clear that I'm talking about the module, not about some personal preference. And then with hint RC, I say chore add linter config, or just conf. And then when we do the rest of this, layouts, welcome, etc., that's all the files that we need. So feature, add initial demo, working demo. Chore, package, init, and deps. And I know this is a lot of commit messages. I could just do initial commit, but oops, chore add license. It would be cool if part of what GitHub did with the README and the license would be to put the standard header in the license, but I guess some license don't have standard headers or whatever. Anyway, what am I at now? Git status. Is everything committed? Was that everything? So I'm going to do a rebase actually, and it's stupid, but I'm becoming more pedantic as time comes on a little bit. So I'm going to go ahead and add the license as the first thing that I do. I'm just rearranging the commits here. And then let's say, yeah, whatever. Feature will be the last commit. There we go. So now if I do git push-u origin main, that should all work out. And I need to put some docs in here. First, let's just do tree. Oh, let's do -i node modules and git. There we go. So we can, oh, and I need to get rid of the icons. So icons, or maybe I could just pipe this to anything. There we go. Because if you pipe, so I have LSD installed for tree. I've got an alias for it, webinstall.dev/LSD. That's the list. And you'd also need the nerd font, but that's mentioned in the README for that. But that gives you nice tree. So index layout, we don't need license. Let's just focus on what's important here. And I think this will look good here. Let's move that there, delete that. Okay, so this is good. And I should put partials in here at some point as well. We'll see when those become necessary. And then what should I say? To render, run node index.html. And generally speaking, don't do inline blocks. I'd say whenever you start to make a list, think, does a table make sense instead? Whenever you start to do an inline block, think, wouldn't a real block with syntax highlighting be better instead? Okay, now let me get caught up on some comments. Yeah, I bet working for Big Pharma, I'm surprised you're allowed to use the internet at all working at Big Pharma. Okay. Oh, hello. Somebody else joined in, and I am just about to leave. I'm going to be there a few minutes late, but it's all right. Okay, so to render. This makes use of custom file extensions, layouts, and template variables. I don't know. That just seems. And this, again, and when you're doing a list of italics or something like that, bolding, think to yourself, maybe this should be a list. Basically, whatever you're doing with documentation, always think, should people tend to use the thing that is less simple and less clear, but appears simpler, say, to type out. Okay. So I would say always look one beyond. If a list was too big, you'd want to use a table. So instead think, well, you'd be forced to use a table. If a list had too much information or the information too complex, you'd be forced to use a table. But tables are often better at even small things that are, say, 3 items long. Tables are often better than lists are, or text blocks are often better than lists are. So for example, I could have listed out these files and said, this has the following files. I could put it in a list, but no, it's better in a code block. So I would say this is kind of I don't know if it's rare is the right word, but you actually want to think, if this were more complex information, how would I want to display it? How would I be forced to display it? And then just skip ahead to that unless it really doesn't make sense, because usually it will. Okay, this makes use of, see here, it's only 3 items, but it kind of makes sense to just go ahead and put it here. Was there anything else that I'm using in this? This makes use of and demonstrates. This demonstrates the use of. There we go. That's what I want to say. And layouts. MJML, a secondary template system. And let's put a link to so let's go ahead and link to the ETA docs here. So another thing I'll say along with the kind of streaming mentality, before streaming was a thing, I would document everything and I would publish in public places, wikis and things like that. And I've never regretted it. I've never had it bite me in the butt. It's only been good. It serves as it's documentation that my employer has that is actually searchable, because if it goes into their Google Drive, that's essentially the same as lighting it on fire from the dumpster bin. No one's ever going to see it. But putting things on blogs where they're indexable by Google when they're non-proprietary things is always good. And then I can share it with coworkers and say, hey, did you know about this? So, some employers would definitely say, oh, you can't create content that you're going to host on your own blog on company time. And I would say, you're stupid. You don't understand the value of where your dollar's going. And if I had to deal with that type of person, I just wouldn't, I just wouldn't bother about it. I just do what I do anyway. And the only thing that's going to come of it is good, unless you are really, really bad about judging what is proprietary information, which, maybe you could be. But no one ever complained that documentation that they needed was readily available. Okay, I'm going to call this good, and I'm going to head out, and I'm just going to send a message and say, I'm going to be a few minutes late. Okay, docs. I know what I did with the docs. That is what is outline the project. I don't know. I don't know what. Getting tripped up here. A lot of people just put work. What did I do? Git commit -m docs. Add directory. Show tree and features. There we go. I like that well enough. And then we do a get push. And then boom, now the next project that I have where I need to use ETA and maybe I don't have access to this because maybe I'm working somewhere else or whatever, or if I need to share with someone else. As this grows, it's going to be more complex. If I need to share with someone else, even on the team, and say, okay, here's how we get started with ETA. Now I've got a little simple project where they can go. And if we need to use partials, I'll go add the partials in here. So I will grow this project as I use ETA and MJML and just let this be. Here's a good example of how to use ETA and MJML that we all have reference to, that's tiny. And also, if we go into any bug fixes, if anything comes of this, likely nothing's going to come of this. That's one thing you have to understand about open source. A lot of people don't like to spend time in documenting bugs. I don't know why, because it only benefits you. But I think part of it could be, no, I don't even think they have enough experience to know that most of the time no one's going to respond to you. Most of the time you open up an issue, it's going to sit there and nothing's going to happen. But it's good to have things there for your own documentation. Now it's Googleable. If I have the same error message and I were to Google it, I would end up right back here. If someone else on the team were to Google it, they would end up here. So we've now documented the bug. We've documented that we don't know how to do something, whatever, and then provide the workaround. So this, again, it's only to your benefit to document bugs, because even if the author never gets back to you, you have a source that is Googleable that will lead you back to your own thing, which this is not the kind of thing I want to put on my blog, but it is the kind of thing, because it's not that useful. The other thing I might put on my blog, here's how you set up this tiny project, because that could fit in a blog because it's that small. Anyway, I got to go. Y'all have a good one. Thanks for joining in. I will catch you later, maybe. So I'm going to be streaming again on Twitch. It'll show up on my channels on Twitch, and that's down on the doobly-doo if you're on YouTube. But so it's going to show up on Twitch for the Utah Node.js meetup tonight, but it's going to be publishing to the Utah Node.js channel. So if you want to watch on YouTube, search Utah Node.js on YouTube, and you should find the channel there and subscribe to that. If you want to subscribe to me, click the bell and hit personalized recommendations so that you get the stuff that you're interested in, because maybe you're interested in the Node stuff, which I've been doing a ton of lately, but you're not interested in the Go stuff, in which case you're crazy, because you should definitely watch the Go stuff. But I also do some gaming and some other stuff now and then, so you probably don't want all of that. But if you do, whatever, you hit personalized or all, whichever fits your fancy. And if you like what you like, you get more of what you like. So thumbs up or thumbs down if you don't, because every thumb helps. And yeah, I'll see you later. Thanks for those of you that left comments and likes and all that. Really appreciate it. It's nice to feel a sense of community. But with all that, you have a good one. Best afternoon ever. Adios. Why do I even try? Hotkeys never work.